Welcome to the Pearls of Wisdom podcast, brought to you by Southern Jewelry News and Jewelry Store Marketers. Hello, everyone. This is Guy with Jewelry Store Marketers, and I am here at the RJO show in Minneapolis, and we are having a fantastic time so far. And this is another episode of the Pearls of Wisdom Jewelry podcast, and unfortunately, our good friend Lisa Dillon of Southern Jewelry News is not with us, but she is always remembered, and we have her beautiful face right here. Nothing like the real thing, but we miss you, Lisa. And I'm here with Amber and David, and basically we are going to talk about the jewelry industry and really your experience through the jewelry industry. So why don't you start with telling us about yourself and what you do?
First of all, thank you very much for having us, Guy. Appreciate it. And I would love to share a little bit of what I do and how I started. That way people know where it's coming from. Mm-hmm. I am a first-generation jeweler. I've been doing it since 1979, doing work in the jewelry industry, and an actual bench jeweler. I love being creative. And 21 years ago, this is 2022, I opened up my own jewelry store with a dream. I knew that I could do it better than, not better, but I could do it with more compassion than the people that I work for. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to be creative. I wanted to do my own thing. And so I took a chance, took a leap.
Wow.
And 21 years later, 15 employees later, full workshop, and here I am.
Where's your jewelry store?
In Katy, Texas, just west of Houston.
Okay. Wow. Congratulations. It sounds like you've achieved a lot and done a lot.
We have done a lot. We've seen a lot of changes that have happened in the industry, not only with growing a business, starting off very small, and doing everything yourself, from the bookkeeping to the advertising to repairing, delivering, finding diamonds, making a lot of mistakes. My first ad I put in was in a Kmart, back of a Kmart magazine, so I didn't know what I was doing. But you flash forward and you go through a few things like COVID. You learn to reinvent yourself, and in order to survive, you have to do different things. Mm-hmm. So we did online auctions. We did a lot of different things. So my pearl of wisdom, just to start off, is to be a chameleon. You're going to have to just be a chameleon and always want to change.
Right. Wow. Yeah. There is a lot of changes in the world, and we got to keep up. And so great introduction about you. David, why don't you tell us about yourself and what you do?
I'm David Baker, and I'm here in my capacity with Amber, who's my life partner with Amber's Designs. But what I actually do is I'm the membership and education manager for the American Gem Trade Association, and I've been there since 2014. Prior to that, I had my own store in Dublin, Ohio, mm-hmm. and I vet the applications that come into membership at AGTA. So, we've seen the effect of COVID.
Yeah.
Not only on the industry, but also on AGTA and the membership suffering through that time. And now AGTA is back, and strength in numbers are returning. Lots of people are joining. Shows are, on the move. And Hard Rock Summit's coming up in September in Denver, which AGTA is part of. So that's what I do.
Great. Right now, the jewelers or in the jewelry industry, what are the typical challenges jewelers face these days and concerns?
When I first started off, I'll go first to answer that question. When I first started off, it was a face-to-face business. Yeah. It was a handshake business. On certain levels, it's still a handshake business within our industry, but it has changed with our consumer. Our consumer is, as we all know, we're technology is our biggest challenge. Technology not only in our store and keeping track of everything that we have going within our stores, our jobs, who buys what and what's keeping good records of that, but also technology with people having access. Our world has gotten smaller. We have access to everything we have. Right. And we have a lot of vendors that jewelers use have gone straight to the public. And so we're competing against the people that we're actually buying from. And that's been a tricky relationship that we've had to work out. And part of that is also really gaining our confidence with our buyers. That doesn't matter about price. They're not buying from somebody that don't see face to face. They got to buy from us. So even more, it's important that we keep our relationships with our consumers very strong. So we have to continually reinvent ourselves to make sure that they keep wanting to come back to us.
What would you say when somebody says, okay, if I'm not competing on price, what should I do? What is the thing that I should really help my store, my staff grow?
Part of it is you can keep long-term staff where they see the same face. They'll go into a grocery store and see a different face all the time. They go into a lot of different businesses and they see different faces. If they see the same face and you can train your people that they want to stay with you, they're going to have faith in you, especially in our industry. This is a faith and a trust-based industry. If they don't trust you, they're not going to come back to you.
Right.
So,
and online businesses, they really don't have a face.
Right.
Whereas you can come into our store and put a name and a face together, get to know them. We ask about children.
Right.
It's how's your
very
family?
Much a relationship business.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And jewelers are with their customers in so many important memories of their lives, right?
100%.
When they get married and anniversaries and just mark the occasions, those important life occasions, and that's why jewelers are so important to maintain that relationship, right? You mentioned tools and staying up to date.
Right.
What would you say to a jeweler that thinks, I've been around for a while, everybody knows me, and we do a little bit of this and that, but what would you say to a person like that's not embracing technology as much?
If they don't have social media as one of their biggest form of getting their name out there and getting their trust out there, they're going to lose big time. If they're just doing newspaper still and print, because there's magazines that are going out of business every day. Newspapers are streaming down every single day. They're still out there. There's still people that like to see and feel and touch your face, your ad, your picture in a magazine. That is good. You still have to do a certain amount, but your budget, you need to put a budget and put a bigger budget to your social media. If you don't have a social media manager for your business, that's not you. You can add. You can do something, but you have to have somebody that's going to be on top of it, watching it, seeing trends. They're constantly changing with TikTok, with Instagram, with Facebook. You have to constantly reinvent yourself in order to even fit their format. I think Instagram just changed now. My social media manager told me that they're going to go away with the single picture. They want 3-second clips. Right. We have to do 3-second clips on everything now, so we're having to change constantly. When you're in the store doing what you love, which is making jewelry and selling jewelry, you're not on top of those things. You have to hire somebody to do that.
Yeah. Which platforms are you on? Are you on all of those?
We're on all of those.
Got
and
it.
YouTube, where we need to work more on YouTube. YouTube, there's a big market there too. The biggest one right now is TikTok. And you have to also make sure that you are accepted within their algorithms, or they won't even put you anywhere. You
Right.
won't gain any viewers. So you have to be careful of your political views, your religious views. You have to be pretty benign with all of that if you want to have any kind of a place in those algorithms.
Yeah.
And from a technology standpoint, you have to be able to identify lab-grown diamonds versus natural stones as well.
Exactly.
So you have to have the proper equipment.
Yep. And the talking about equipment, how has that changed throughout the years, and has the technology of equipment has made things easier, faster, better?
I'm glad you asked that question because I'm a wax carver. I'm
Nice.
a custom designer. That is my forte. I look like Edward Scissorhands when I carve waxes because I really have wax flying everywhere because I'm always seeing the item I want inside the piece of wax and everything else is in my way. I'm
Nice.
pretty quick on doing my waxes. But now with technology, you have to do with CAD, especially since everything that is coming out in the market is so perfect. If you do that handmade piece and you have that not 100% symmetrical piece, it's going to be spotted by your average consumer. Before, it wasn't really spotted. Now they're going to watch every little thing, and they're going to want a perfect piece. So having somebody CAD doing that, growing, casting, that's huge. Of course, laser welders. I've bought the laser welder not because I didn't believe in laser welders, I couldn't afford one. And when they first came out years ago, they were just totally unattainable. But basically, I laser weld with a torch. When I say that, I have a very high concentrated heat and a very small piece, and I will fuse it myself. And I'm showing my staff that use the welder to try to fix pits in a casting or pits in something, and they battle. I says, let me show you how to do it. And I take a torch with a acetylene fine tip, and I do a quick, I don't know, I guess it's an amber weld, kind of.
An amber weld.
An amber weld.
Trademark that one.
Oh, wow. I says, yeah, get good with a torch. I said, then using a laser is like no big deal. So I do touch and play with the welder, and I appreciate that. Are you kidding? Now I can do so many more things that you really can't do with a torch. But I think a well-rounded jeweler has to have good torch skills. But having that technology is priceless today, in today's field.
And you talk about technology. We have one room that's dedicated to producing podcasts, to doing videos, with complete setup, cameras and everything, proper lighting.
Yeah.
Everything.
And we don't do so many podcasts, but we don't have time. But we've done auctions, and we've used it for taking photos of our finished product.
Yeah.
Some of the newest technology, once again, is the light box. To having that's imperative as well. You can't have a diamond with reflecting harsh lights at you. You got to have lights that are diffused.
Right.
And that light box does it. And the technology in their programming of what they can do is incredible.
Yep, exactly. If there's so you have jewelers out there that maybe have a tighter budget and thinking, I'd love to one day, and is it worth? What would your advice be? How to get into it? Do they start with outsourcing some of that, or getting further education?
Are you talking about being a jeweler themselves, a bench jeweler? Or are you talking about owning a store?
Yeah, no, you were talking about like your own, custom
a bench jeweler.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about being a bench jeweler, and this is what I've realized. When I was young and first started, I was making $2.90 an hour. That tells you how old I am. And I got a raise to $3.15 because that's what minimum wage went to, and the owners of the business had a fit. They had to give me a raise. But I was producing so much work for them. I was just doing sizings. That's all I could do at the time. I realized today we have lost the appreciation of our craft ourselves because we have outsourced so much to other countries with lower wages, that if you want people to come into this business, be prepared to pay them. And you will still succeed. They will still be able to buy their houses, pay their car bills, pay their daycare bills if you pay them enough, and if they pay them what they're really worth. And the consumer will see it, and they'll pay it too. And I feel what we make should be at least that of a dentist or a doctor, because it takes that many years to be good at our craft. Just because we don't have the schooling necessarily that's all right, this is what happens when you connect this to this. It's practice, which gets you good, and it brings you your talent and your skills.
Right.
And you just have to charge for it. So I've learned to grab the good talent. I just have to pay them more, and I've got some great talent.
Yeah, why don't you talk about talent in your staff, and how do you develop a great team that takes care of customers?
You got two different things. Customers is the front, but I have the team in the back of jewelers. I'll tell you briefly. I have got a jeweler that's deaf. Very interesting. He wears his headset. Communicating with him sometimes can be very much a challenge. Good part about it is that he'll go into his own world because he's deaf. The bad part about it is that he goes into his own world because he's deaf. And then you want to bring him back out, you have to bring him back into the other world. So that's a challenge. I have another handicapped person who was never, that jeweler has been in the business for 45 years, I think himself. My CAD guy never was in the jewelry business. He also is
Disabled vet.
He's a disabled vet, yes, and he has his dog.
Service dog.
His service dog comes with him every single day. Now, I don't mind a dog, but never in my 40 years of being in the business would I think having a pit bull would be allowed in my store. This is a trained animal, the best dog that I've ever seen. And I've seen her in action because he's physically disabled to where he sometimes can't get up. He bends down because he does my casting now too. And he has had her, called her, she's come over and he's used her as a leaning tool. So and she's a good stress reliever. So anybody that's having a bad day, they're going to go and pet Hazel.
Exactly.
Oh, so she's a huge stress reliever, and I have no problem with that. But he was never in the jewelry industry. He used to design the interiors of ambulances, but he knew CAD. I says, I will sit with you, and I'll explain tolerances, thickness of shanks, thickness of prongs, distances between stones, heights, comforts on the side of a shank. All those things I have to explain to him. And he's learned how to cast and alloy and do things he never ever did. And he's been recruited by the CAD world. I'm in Texas. The oil business is booming. Our gas prices show it. And he's been approached. But he said quality of life. That's the other thing. Quality of life for your staff. I also changed since COVID. I'm only open literally 35 hours to the public.
Wow.
When I did the math, which I went, wow, we're not open a long time, which is why we're so busy. But we have opening, we have closing, we're open 4.5 days a week. Everybody still manages to put in 40 hours because they have to come in early. Usually we always stay late to close, but our doors that are open to the public is only 35. Mm-hmm. And I think having a quality of life is so important. We cannot always put our business first in our lives. It'll dissolve, it'll go on, it'll do whatever after us, but what will we enjoy in life as we age? We gotta do a little bit of both.
Yeah. Nice. Absolutely. That's great. Curious about, would you think that the dog owners out, jewelry store owners, should they start bringing their pets into the store?
Oh, I think that's a great idea. There was a liquor store in our area that has a cat, and the cat was always laying on the register.
Yeah.
He didn't want to pet him. He didn't like you petting him, but he just wanted to lay on that warm register. And there's actually right down the street there is Ace Hardware store. They have about 3 cats that are always laying on fertilizer and laying in the middle aisles, and they're always there. They're laying on a shelf. You'll be looking for something, and then you'll see a cat sit on the shelf. People love it. And we used to have my daughter's dog come in, and everybody would ask, 3 years after the dog was no longer coming into the store, where's Paisley? So I think that also brings a familyness, a closeness, and help a bond with your staff.
Well, and we've seen it too in the store where the CAD fellow, Nathan, we'll go back, and you need to ask him, because his dog's a trained service dog, not just one he put a vest on. Ask if he can pet his dog, and he needs to give his approval prior to the time you touch his dog. But you can see that if you've had a challenging customer, that it helps to diffuse, that stuff that's you just have from the customer where you just want to shake it off. And so you just sit down and pet Hazel for a little bit and, regain that calm. That's really a great addition to the business. Okay.
So I hear that you're also an award-winning jewelry designer.
Well, in my earlier years, I entered different competitions, women's jewelers, Texas jewelers, and every time I entered, I was very blessed. Just about every time I entered, I won. And I've gotten too busy to enter the larger competitions. I did once, and I had time at that time, but I don't have any more time. Didn't win, but I know that it was a looked at piece, but because that's very, very AGTA, American Gem Trade, is one of the most prestigious one to be a part of. But I was very honored last year to be asked to be a judge at the AGTA. And between my knowledge of the bench and stones and craftsmanship and wearability as a store owner, as a woman who wears jewelry, I had a very broad spectrum of view of all the pieces that came in. It wasn't just aesthetics, it wasn't just craftsmanship, it was the whole vision. Although there were certain rules you had to go by when judging, which is very important because you wanted to judge very fairly. You can't be judging opinionated of whether you like it or not, whether it actually fits that particular category and is it qualified to win. So it was very interesting thing to be a part of. And actually, Texas Jewelers Association, we have our own little competition, like I said, that I was part of years ago, and we're trying to revive that and even get more Texas jewelers to and students to enter, because I think also you talk about getting people coming into the industry. If you have these students feel good and they win, and they will then want to go into the business and not just do it and then change your mind and go work in a bank somewhere or something.
Right. Exactly. There's a lot of challenges, but an organization like RJO, it really does a lot for the jewelry industry. I hear you've been a member for quite a while, and why don't you talk about RJO and why is it? What's the benefits for you and other jewelers to be part of RJO?
RJO is hugely important to me. Because when I first came into the business, I knew nothing about a buying group. I didn't even know what that was. I had no idea. My previous bosses that I worked for were never part of anything like it. And when you come into something like this, and you are a startup company, which I was, I didn't have it in my family, I didn't have an uncle or anything, I knew nothing about buying. I knew nothing. And when I realized that there's other people like me that have started their own, or they may be second generation, I learned so much from talking to these people. So when I come to a show, it's like I take a deep breath of fresh air because I'm with my people. I'm with people that we speak the same language. We have the same problems. We have the same issues. We may be, on the East Coast and the West Coast or down south where I am, but we all have the same kind of issues. And they're free, everybody free to talk about, share their answers, which is huge. So RJO, incredible. And the people, you just see them year after year. You may only see them, like Elisa, my dear friend. Oh my gosh, she's my huge show buddy. We hang big time together. I was her first time going to a show. I showed her around Tucson. I was excited because I had a friend to go with. I have somebody to show, and she loved it, and she continually grows herself, and I love watching her grow, and I'd like to grow vicariously through her and see what she's doing, who she's talking to, what's new out there. So I listen to the pearls of wisdom and try to grow myself.
Perfect. Yes, Lisa's great. I've known her for quite a while. Wish you were here.
Wish you were here, Elise. And thank you for calling me to do this. I hope that what I've been able to share and Dave is able to share has been able to help others. Don't give up. I'm going to tell you right now, whatever you do, don't give up. If you have a passion, I've never really worked a day in my life.
Nice.
I'm an artist, and I learned to take my art into something I absolutely love. I love helping people. I love creating. And as you do, David, with you had
Absolutely.
David Creative Jewelers for 25 years, and it's in our blood. And this is what we do. We don't work. We just have things to do every day.
Yeah, right on. Well, that was really amazing, and thank you so much for joining us. And what I have to do,
Yes.
is say to everybody, can I see the other one too? Is please make sure you go take a look and go review the Mid-America Jewelry News and Southern Jewelry News. They do a great job in writing about the jewelry industry, most readable publication for 34 years.
It's a great publication. Like I said, you still have to have a certain amount of your budget for print. Thank goodness there's print. Thank goodness there's Southern Jewelry News for us, and Mid-American Jewelry News as well. The owners there are fantastic. The articles, you laugh. You go, that happened to me, or I'm glad that didn't happen to me, or I'm glad to know that so it won't happen to me.
And the stories are about us.
Yes.
That's the thing. The stories are about us.
And they're real.
And
they're real. So you've got to keep your budget also. So those vendors listening to these podcasts, please keep supporting the news. I've used them to advertise for extra help, and they've been very, very helpful. So fantastic. One of the best ones out in the market. Absolutely. I look forward to reading mine that comes in the mail.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you. Amber, David, thank you so much for joining us on the Pearls of Wisdom. Next time we're going to have it with Elisa somewhere, and maybe we'll do it. We'll have it with drinks, which makes everything a lot more fun. But this has been a great talk. Thank you for sharing your point of view about the jewelry industry, and it was great because we typically we haven't gotten too many of the retailer side. And we really would love to get more of the retailer side. Yeah, we can have a diamond guy tell us about, the diamonds and their technology or whatever. But, it's the jewelers could really benefit more from hearing from other jewelers that are successful and have achieved things. And like you said, you come here and you're with your people, So we want to get your people on the show. So if you know of anybody that we should talk to, you make sure you let us know.
I'll give you a list.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. If they're here, send them on.
All right, I will. Well, thank you very much for having us.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Pearls of Wisdom Jewelry Podcast. For more information about the show, please visit southernjewelrynews.com/podcast, brought to you by Southern Jewelry News and Jewelry Store Marketers. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you can catch the next show. See you then.